1987 Afghanistan Mountains. Call sign Steel Rose. 2024 A park in Istanbul. Same woman, same determined eyes. 37 years had changed her, but the soldier's spirit remained the same. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If this story moves you, consider subscribing for more tales of hidden heroes who changed history from the shadows. On that warm April afternoon, Mosca Park carries its usual tranquility. Elderly people sit on benches, enjoying the sun while watching their grandchildren play. Cats lazily stretch in the shade of trees, occasionally trying to catch the attention of passing children. Right in the middle of this peaceful scene, there's an elderly woman sitting on the corner bench. Her hair is snow white. She has a cardigan draped over her shoulders and knitting needles in her hands. She's constantly knitting, occasionally pausing to look around, then returning to her focused work. When children playing in the park pass by her, they ask, "Auntie, what are you knitting?" She smiles kindly and responds, "I'm making a sweater for my grandson, children, so he won't be cold when winter comes." Everyone around sees her as completely innocent, a harmless grandmother. The neighbors even know her as Zafar Auntie. Every morning she gets up early and comes to the park, feeds the cats, knits her projects, and returns home in the evening. No one knows that her real name isn't Melik Zafar. No one has any idea about the Steel Rose coded operations from 37 years ago. In the harsh mountainous terrain of Afghanistan, January 1987. The snow has barely begun to melt, and that sharp cold fills the air. A covert operation by Turkish special forces is underway. Lieutenant Melik Zafar is only 24 years old, but among her comrades, she's already known by the nickname Steel Rose. Why? Because she appears gentle and elegant on the surface, but when it comes to operations, she's as hard and determined as steel. "Steel Rose, target coordinates confirmed," comes the commander's voice through the radio. 3 kilometers to enemy camp. We move at midnight. Melik checks the map in her hands one last time. This operation is crucial. They need to neutralize the enemy camp located at a strategic point on the Afghan border. But this won't be easy work. "Understood, Commander," Melik responds. Her voice carries that familiar composure. Her comrades love her for this. Even in the most difficult moments, she never panics, always stays calm. That night, the operation begins. Melik and her team reach the target after walking for hours through the snow. They encounter unexpected resistance at the enemy camp. This is when Melik's true ability emerges. When the team leader is wounded, she takes command. With cool-headed strategic decisions, she both protects her own team and successfully completes the mission. That night, the name Steel Rose is written in golden letters in Special Forces history. Back to 2024. Melik Auntie continues her same routine every morning. She comes to the park at 9 a.m., carrying a small bag. The bag contains food for the cats and a thermos of tea for herself. She sits on her bench and first feeds the cats. "Come here, Sarman, come Tekir," she calls. The cats love her because she doesn't just give them food. She pets them and talks to them too. Then she takes out her knitting needles. There's a half-finished sweater waiting. She's making this for her grandson Arda. 8-year-old Arda is her only love. Her son and daughter-in-law live in America, visiting Turkey once a year. "Grandma, what work did you do when you were young?" Arda had asked last year. "I worked in a government office, sweetheart," Melik had answered. "It was very boring work. You just play nicely now." The child had said okay and hadn't asked any more questions. Melik prefers to give such simple, plain answers. If she told the truth, no one would believe her anyway. Monday morning, the park is a bit more crowded than usual. Because there's a military ceremony coming up, preparations are ongoing. Several soldiers pass through the park on their way to the nearby ceremony preparation area. While Melik is busy with her knitting, she tries not to listen to the soldiers' conversations, but her ear involuntarily catches those familiar military terms. Operation will begin at 1400 hours. Alpha team will take position. Security level will be kept high. These words trigger something inside her. Memories from 37 years ago suddenly come alive. The knitting needle in her hand trembles slightly, but she immediately pulls herself together. A young soldier approaches her bench. Auntie, are we disturbing you? He asks in a polite voice. We need to pass through here. No, sweetheart, go ahead, Melik says with a smile. You do your duty. But as the soldier walks away, if anyone had noticed the change in Melik's posture, her back straighter, shoulders broader, as if the old soldier reflexes inside her had awakened. March 1987. After the previous operation, Melik is assigned to a special mission. This time they need to take control of a strategic pass used by Soviet units. Steel Rose, says Colonel Keenan Bey. This time it will be harder. You'll need to do solo infiltration. Melik doesn't hesitate at all. Your order, Commander. She stays alone behind enemy lines for 2 weeks. With local clothing, speaking perfect Dari, she hides her identity. She gathers critical information and returns on time, ensuring the operation's success. During that period, her comrades used to tell her, "One day you'll be written in history books, Steel Rose." Melik would always give this answer. History books write about those who live for the homeland, not heroes. I'm just doing my duty. This response had earned her praise from one of that era's most respected commanders. This is how a real soldier should be, the colonel had said. Wednesday afternoon, Melik is in the park as usual. This time she has a different knitting project with her, a military green beret. A child asks, Auntie, who is this for? Oh, this is also for my grandson, Melik says. He loves military movies and wanted a beret like this. But actually, that beret is identical to the Special Forces beret she wore 37 years ago. Same color, same model, as if she's knitting to embrace her memories. Just then, an elderly man comes from the other side of the park and sits on her bench. At first, he doesn't draw attention, but after a while, she notices he's watching her. The man is in his 70s, has a military bearing. He occasionally looks at Melik, but not directly, as if he's trying to recognize her. Melik becomes inwardly nervous. Being recognized after 37 years is the last thing she wants. But there's something different in the man's gaze. This isn't ordinary curiosity. I think he recognizes me, Melik thinks. But who was this? Thursday morning, when Melik comes to the park, the same elderly man is there again. This time he's sitting on an even closer bench. After a while, the man gets up and walks toward Melik. Her heart races, but she doesn't show it on her face. Ma'am, I apologize for disturbing you, the man says politely, but you look very familiar to me, as if we've met before. Melik smiles. It's possible. I've been coming to this park for many years. Maybe you've seen me. No, the man says, squinting his eyes. This is a different kind of familiarity, much older, maybe 30 to 40 years ago. Melik's hand freezes on her knitting needle. I'm not very good with such old topics, she tries to deflect. The man takes another step closer. Have you ever had any acquaintance with military personnel? No, Melik says quickly. I worked in a government office. I never dealt with military matters. But the man doesn't look convinced. After talking for a few more minutes, he leaves, but glances back at Melik once more as he goes. Melik looks at the photograph. Memories from 37 years ago flood through her mind like a torrent. Those young, determined eyes. The excitement, fear, and pride of that time. Then she looks at the general. The person in the photograph died, General. No, the general says firmly. That person went into hiding, made a huge sacrifice, then quietly retired. But now we need her. What do you need? Melik asks. Her experience, her knowledge, and most importantly, the records of the operations she lived through during that period. Melik thinks for a long time. She watches the children playing in the park, the cats, her peaceful life. Then she turns to the general. Why now? After 37 years, why? Because, the general says, the operations your group conducted during that period are directly connected to today's geopolitical situation. Only you possess certain strategic information. The elderly man adds, I was also from the unit that supported you during that period. I never forgot you, Steel Rose. The general explains. The intelligence information you gathered during operations between 1987 to 1990 is in a very critical state today. There are new developments in those regions, and we need your experience. What kind of help? Melik asks. Consulting, training young operators, and most importantly, updating the local connections you established during that period. Melik looks around the park, her peaceful life, her cats, her knitting. If I return to this work, she says slowly, that old me will come back. Zafir Auntie will disappear. No, the general says, we'll combine both. Your civilian identity will be protected, but will benefit from your expertise. The elderly man adds, Steel Rose, the homeland still needs you. As the film nears its end, Melik has found a happy balance with both her Zafir Auntie and Steel Rose identities. Every morning in the park, she feeds cats, knits. Her neighbors see her as a loving, calm grandmother.